Hi, Scrappy friends. This is Scrappy Kathy with day two of Christy's Beautiful Life's 30 days of sketches. This is our day two sketch. It is a page maps sketch that has a grid of it says are like 1.5 by 1.5 squares, and it's got a large photo and it's got several smaller photos. I'm eliminating the smaller photos. It looks like you've got some embellishments on certain things, and you've got some ink spots there, and you've got your title going there. I'm going to do something a little bit different because my background isn't going to be plain. The load prompt today is about kind of your family tree, and their theme this load for load 1020, 10 being the month of October and 20 being the year 2020. If you've ever seen that hashtag, you may wonder what that code stands for. Anyway, their prompt was to document your family tree, or to do a page about your family tree. And the technique prompt was just to use leaves on your page. And they said extra points if you know that you're somehow connected to royalty. So as it happens, my family, my maiden name was Saulnier, spelled Sonnier, and I have an uncle, my godfather actually, Badi, who has long passed away, but he really got into genealogy and documented quite a lot about our family, and actually traveled back to France, to the Alsace-Lorraine area where our forebears came from, and where the name came from. And it was originally spelled Saulnier, which means salt maker. As we spell it now, Sonnier, it means sound maker. And so everyone in school back in Louisiana, where they all spoke French, used to say, aha, aptly named. So in fact, they were they mined salt from the sea, and apparently that's a big industry in that area. So I've kind of somewhat identified this Alsace-Lorraine area on this map. I wanted to use a map, and Paige Evans' new Go the Scenic Route collection has these this map paper that is just amazing. It's a world map, and it's got this beautiful floral pattern with the aqua flowers and the navy blue leaves. It's just gorgeous, and I love this color green. So, and I have this photo. I don't have any photos of salt makers, but these are the Saulniers in 1948. And you'll notice that of all the children there, and there grew to be 17 of us cousins, I'm the only girl. That's me right there between my dad and my Uncle Badi, who was the genealogist among us. And I was the first girl born in several generations, I think 3. And so much so that there was a headline in the newspaper in my little tiny hometown. Never mind that my dad was managing editor of that newspaper. Yeah, I'm sure that had nothing to do with it. But none of these people, as far as I know, were salt makers. My dad was in radio and television. Uncle Badi was a landman researching oil leases, and my Uncle Paul worked at a refinery. My Uncle Edward worked for the Pepsi-Cola bottling company. My Uncle Vernon was a parole officer. My Uncle Earl was a PhD rice growing expert who actually consulted with several nations' agricultural experts on how to grow rice that was resistant to mold. And my uncle Bruce was a what they called a doodle bugger who did a lot of uh, oil exploration using I'm forgetting the term. John, what's the seismic kinds of vibrations, and he developed some of that technology for what was then I forget the name of it, but I think it later became Conoco oil. And so they were all, and my grandfather and grandmother were both school teachers. My grandfather had been principal of the school where my grandmother worked, and he was married to his first wife at the time, Amy, and Mohammad was one of his students when he was a teacher. She called him Prof, and continued to call him Prof, and from that we started calling him Pop. But when his first wife gave birth to my dad, she brought him into the classroom. She remembers seeing my dad as a newborn infant. And my real grandmother, Amy, died giving birth to her 8th son. And years and years and years later, Pop and Maud married. And so she's who I knew as my grandmother, and they lived right next door to us. So we were really close. And she, was just a really important person in my life. That's my mom. That's my dad, my handsome daddy. And I thought he was one of the tallest of the boys. I think Uncle Paul might have been the tallest, but I see now that Uncle Badi was a little taller than he was. So go figure. I don't remember that. Anyway, I love this picture, and I have scrapped it before, but from different angles. And I ran it through a filter in the Prisma application to get this particular kind of vintagey look. It's a black and white photo that actually has a sepia tone when I scanned it, and so that sepia tone comes through and gets magnified there. So enough about the history there. Let's talk about how I'm going to do this page. I'm not going to have as many squares, and I'm using 2-inch squares. They're from the little 2-inch square pads that came as part of the Go the Scenic Route kit or collection. And my embellishments are all from this embellishment pack, also from Go the Scenic Route. And all my papers, I have cut this one. In the original, there's this little scallop piece here and then one up here, and I'm only going to have one. I've typed up my journaling, and I stapled leaves on there instead of a ribbon for my tag. And I'm just gonna we're gonna kind of figure out how to place things. I do know, and I need to do this now so that the glue can dry. I do know that I want this geotag at the point where it's generally near Alsace-Lorraine. That's Spain, so that would be France, and I'm going to just kind of go there. And I'm going to put this heart, or this star rather, right over here by where I am in the photo, just so that my great-grandkids can look at it one of these days and say, wow. that was that woman whom we don't know and probably don't care much about. Okay, so now I'm gonna do the and by the way, this is the branding strip from the paper, and I don't know if you noticed, if anybody noticed, but Paige Evans, this isn't for Pink Paisley. She has her own brand now at American Crafts. So that was, and it's page number 5, I guess, is the identity. I'm not gonna really bother a whole lot about where these squares go, but as I look at them flat on the paper there, I'm thinking I want them on foam. So I'm going to do that. And I'm not going to fuss a lot about what order I put them in, other than if they're going to be, I have some favorites, and if they're going to be covered up, I don't want it to be one of those favorites, obviously. So let me kind of do that there. I think that's good spacing. I would like right here, I think the photo is going to kind of go about here. So I'd like this one to be there, and for that saying not to be covered up. So in the collection, you'll see there are two pads. One of them contains pattern swatches, and the other contains phrases or expressions. And I've actually used one of them to fussy cut a nice butterfly. So I'm going to try to work that into the design. Okay, so we'll put this here, and kind of that constitutes something of a plan to have the photo in close proximity to it, maybe overlapping it, but not hiding that saying. So I'd like something that looks nice next to that, and this red may be right in there, may be jarring. So just as I said, I'm not going to get fussy about the order. Here I am getting fussy about the order. Okay, there. And I think I'll go down one more. I can always pull more swatches. Here is another one that I want to show. And my very favorite of all is this one. And Missy Whidden actually did a demonstration on how you can create your own background that looks like this. And I just absolutely went nuts, and it's definitely something I need to try. Okay, so here I'm going to put the red one up in here. And I honestly don't know how many rows this is going to end up having. I want the photo to stand out. It is on foam, but I want it up on top of foam lifted squares as well. Let's see. As you can see, I don't put, okay, that's okay to cover that. Let me cover this one. I'm not a huge fan of this one in the small size, so I think I would allow the photo to cover that. I wouldn't, if a little bit of it shows, that would be, I could maybe do that. Yeah, so let some of it show. And if I did that, would it now cover this one? I can kind of split those two down the middle there. Okay. I'm going to use this kind of white-based one because it's on the green part of the background. And again, I apparently lied to you about saying I didn't care what order they came in. When I first looked at this, I kind of threw it down on my craft mat instead of the paper, and kind of just pulled the everything in order and just put it down in the order that it came out of the pad. And I loved how they looked in that order. And then, of course, I shuffled them all around, and messed that up. Now right here it gets a little tricky because with the photo, let's see, say we're going to do the photo like this. This yellow strip is going to go under the photo and kind of not completely under it, and it's going to go out to the end of the page, and this is going to slide down in it. So that's my thought on that. And I need to trim a little off of this to get that to work. And I really only need this outside part. So let me cut that shorter. And as you know, doing all this careful measuring is just not exactly my thing. So let me see how, at some point I'm probably gonna have to put that on there just to get the right placement of this. So, and I should be able to slide that in. I'm gonna put adhesive just down here so it's kind of partly on. And then I'm going to slide this in as far as it needs to go for me to reach the end of this. Okay, so now, and there can be now some adhesive applied over on this end of it. I'm trying to okay. Now, I've got some foam on this, so it's gonna slide in there. It's going to be partially hidden, but it's going to be removable. So I don't intend to glue it down. So I can let it be kind of loose like that. So right here, my very favorite piece. I'll put there, make sure that I have it lined up. And then I can stick a piece under there. Let me go with this one. Not that I especially want it to be hidden, but it's one that I will use as a background in probably in layouts. I have the 12 by 12 original page of it, but I also have the paper pad, and it's in there. So let me get this. This is going to slide up in there, even with that one. And I need one more to complete my, do I want a phrase? Yeah, this actually is the same pattern as that, and that's hidden. So I can use that. That's perfect. And I like the sentiment, of course. Okay. I wonder if I can, yeah, that's good enough, I think. Now, to embellish these, I have this guy that I thought I'd use. Let's do it here, where it's kind of on here, and I will use some foam tape to add some dimension there. I made a couple layouts recently without a lot of dimension because I thought that there was dimension kind of in the design. And this one certainly has a lot of the same dimensional aspects as those designs, but for some reason I kind of wanted that lift. Let's see. With some of the larger, I kind of like that because it kind of picks up on that red and some of the oranginess. And I know I'll use the pinks, and this, to me, okay, I haven't glued the photo down solidly, I guess. Let me kind of put something there so that that side of it holds down. Okay, where was that? Where's that flower I had in my hand? Again, I'm losing. How many of you have watched a video of me where I did not lose an embellishment? I'm curious, and if you can send me a link to that video, I'll watch it. This is something I thought. First of all, that's a beige flower, and I'm kind of not a beige fan. So, but I thought with these kind of sepia tones of the photo that it might not be bad. And so if I put those leaves going this way, these leaves can go this way, and that green contrasts nicely there. Okay, so that's how it's going to go. And I'm going to do foam, and everything's going to be lifted up. I'll kind of curl those leaves, get some adhesive on there, and I'm going to kind of insert it behind. And then I'll go up here and maybe lift that one up on a more substantial piece so that it can bridge the gaps there. And again, I'll kind of fold these and lift these up and give them some curl and dimension. I'm not going to layer those flowers. I've got this one that's kind of plain and really relates nicely to this. And there's kind of nothing but grass right here. So I thought I could do that. I don't want to go overboard with embellishments because there's so much going on, but a third flower seems like it might be okay. And again, I especially like these navy blue leaves on this one. I'll kind of put it right up in there by my cousin Keith and my cousin David. And no, I guess that's Jimmy Bruce, that's Keith, and that's David. Those were the Ville Platte cousins. And there's Pop and Momod and my cousin Farley, who was set the bar really high when I went to college at the university I went to. He had the highest grade point average of any pre-law student that had ever been there, and he had gone on to LSU and scored the highest grades in LSU law school. He was a practicing attorney, but his passion was scuba diving, and he did several dives and filmed them for with Jacques Cousteau. And he had my dad had a sports program on television in Lafayette, Louisiana, a channel there, and he featured a lot of Farley's filmed dives, along with lots of fishing reports and so forth. And let's see. What's another piece of trivia? My Uncle Edward was manager of the Pepsi-Cola bottling plant, and when Joan Crawford, the movie actress, inherited Pepsi, she visited the plant, and he gave her the tour. So, little brushes with greatness there. I'm not happy with just this flower kind of just sticking out there. So I'm going to look for something I can layer over that gives it a little more personality. Maybe that. And then I probably will do a leaf extending out behind that. Okay, and let me find one of the pretty leaves. I like that one. Nah, I need a pair of the, or something like this. Maybe, so because shouldn't use that because that's there. Well, how about this little guy? And do I want it? Okay, that glue is clearly not reaching where I want it to reach. Do I want this here or in that little area? I kind of like that. And I like that the blue kind of goes with that. All right. Next thing you know, I'm not going to like these either, but they're going to stay as is, I think. I've got the glue in the right place, and if I should have used tweezers here to adjust that. Okay, that works. All right. Hopefully that's all I did cut this word beautiful from the card that I cut that butterfly from. So maybe using it right here, and so that it overlaps that line onto the, kind of over where the tag is. I have to be careful when I take that photo that it's straight. I noticed something that I left movable on my last layout had gotten crooked by the time I took the photo, and I didn't notice it until I actually posted the photo. So now I'm going to look for go for something small, and I want to use some Nuvo drops, and just kind of trying to think what color I want. I think I'm going to go with the white stone drops. And let me test on here. Okay, that seems to be coming out. I'm going to do this instead of the ink splatters, just because there's kind of so much going on back there. And I'm going to come up here and put them on the red, or do I want them on the blue? Let's go with the blue. Okay, And then over here, I really love this little compass rose that's there. I'm going to do it maybe out here away from the grid and near the map. Okay, those I did not do according to Scrapping Amy's instructions, so they may not look all that nice when I photograph it. Okay, so I've written my journaling. I think the last thing that I'm going to do is I do like to have a little bit of handwriting on my layouts, and I'm hoping that I can do this without smearing any of the Nuvo drops. So I'm going to write June 20th, 1948. I was 18 months old. Almost like 18 months and 8 days old. So, okay, I think I'm done. I think I kept with the spirit, and I have this amazing map, and I'm telling part of the story with that map and with my little star kind of pointing out who I am. And I refer to, let's see, the journaling says, because you won't be able to read it when I post it, we spell it Saulnier, but it started with the family of salt makers in the Alsace-Lorraine area of France, reportedly connected to royalty, but who isn't? These are the Saulniers as I remember them, in the backyard barbecues called the Feast of the Seven Brothers. My dad was the oldest of 7 boys, and his dad the oldest of 14 boys. I'm the only girl in this photo, the first Saulnier girl in 3 generations. Others followed, but I remember being treated like a true princess among these amazing people. So that's absolutely true. And it was this was a really wonderful and talented group of individuals, the women as well. At the time of this photo, they were mostly homemakers, but my Aunt Catherine was a teacher, and one of her students in the 6th, and 6th grade was Jerry Lee Lewis, the famous rock pianist. Let's see, my Aunt Rena became a clerk at a law firm after my Uncle Edward died, and my Aunt Johnny was an executive secretary. My Mama Maud was a teacher for many, many years. Let's see, Aunt Lolita was a bookkeeper, but more like a chief accountant for a large company in a small town. So very, very cool people. And I'm happy to do a colorful page like this about them. Thanks for watching and putting up with my storytelling. Appreciate it. I'll see you I'll see you tomorrow for the day 3 of Christy's 30 days of sketches. And let me see if I can find that one. It's going to be this one right here. And you know me, I'm probably not going to have 5 photos. But I'm going to look and see if, depending on what the load prompt is, I may go hunt for 5 photos from 5 different events or situations, or of 5 different people. Anyway, this is all about the Saulniers. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye.